New York Mets have a massive problem on their hands. We all know it. We all hate it. Pitchers simply cannot reach the seventh inning, which has a ripple-down effect and should lead to serious conversations about getting rid of a coach on this staff, which is exactly what we're going to talk about only here on Mets Digest. I'm your host today, Mike Duda. We're going to talk about this major issue from the Mets, but first we got to talk about some subscribers, and that being the fact that 69.7% of you that watch these videos aren't one. So please do me a favor, do us a favor here at Mets Digest, and hit that free subscribe button. That way we can bring content to you about the amazing. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive right in. Kicking it off with last weekend, the Mets just wrapped up a series in Milwaukee against the Brewers, where of course they got swept. I know it's the best team in baseball, but the Mets are just allergic to winning of late. 7 consecutive L's, losers of 10 of their last 11 games, and the problem is right here. We all know it, and we all hate it. Like I said in the intro video, no starting pitcher for the New York Mets can reach the 7th inning. Nobody not named David Peterson can go 6 or more innings pitched, and it was highlighted especially this weekend, as you see on your screen now. Mets starters slash bulk guys this weekend. The reason why it says starters slash bulk guys is because we all know Frankie Montas, unfortunately, is a part of this starting rotation, and he was used as a bulk guy because he's been so bad that the Mets needed an opener in Reed Garrett in front of him to hopefully, I guess, boost Montas' confidence and allow him to pitch well. Obviously didn't work. Friday Night Lights, Kodai Senga, the guy that is supposed to be our ace, only went 4 1/3. Then Montas on Saturday, 3 innings, and he threw about 75 pitches. That is ridiculous. He's throwing 25 pitches an inning, when as a pitcher you aim for 15. So, again, hey, Frankie Montas, I don't know why we're not getting rid of him. Anyway, that's a conversation for a whole different day. Sean Manaea, 4 innings on Sunday. That is 11 1/3 total innings, and it absolutely is beyond ridiculous because they are pitching less than half of the innings that the Mets played. The Mets lucked out by getting swept on the road. They only had to pitch 24 innings, and still the starters couldn't even give them half. You want your starting pitchers to go 6+ innings in a 9-inning game. That is 66.7% of the time. The Mets this weekend, less than half. It is terrible. It is ridiculous. It is every word in the book, and it is perfectly summed up by this: 53 straight games without 2 different starting pitchers of at least 1 start with 6+ innings. The longest single season streak since at least 1901. It is so bad that it dates back to the time that we don't even know what happened in baseball because stats haven't been recorded. That is how bad this could be. The worst streak in all of baseball history for all we know. We just don't have the stats to prove it, so they have to say at least 1901. I'm going to go out on a limb and say, especially because pre-1900 starting pitchers actually pitched length and they pitched every 4 days, I think that this is the longest stretch in all of baseball history, the entire history of the sport. For those of you that don't understand what this means, because it is a little bit odd in terms of the technicality with the language, no Met pitcher for 53 consecutive games not named David Peterson has gone 6 or more innings pitched. It is horrible. It is pathetic. And Mike Puma of the New York Post says it's not changing. It is going to continue this bad. He says, Kodai Senga continued the futility among Mets starting pitchers other than David Peterson to work deep into games with his latest middling performance Friday when he lasted just 4 1/3 innings against the Brewers. The Mets, who used Reed Garrett as an opener in their 7-4 loss to the Brewers on Saturday night, haven't had a starting pitcher other than Peterson complete 6 innings since Clay Holmes did it June 7th. Guys, it's August 11th. In that regard, Senga, Holmes, Sean Manaea, and Frankie Montas, who allowed 3 runs, 1 earned after replacing Garrett, who pitched a scoreless first inning, have underperformed. Here's a stat worth noting according to Puma. Senga and Manaea returned from the injured list within the past month and spent multiple starts stretching out at the major league level. And on other occasions, the decision to remove a starter early has been based on strategy, allowing for a certain matchup in a high leverage situation. The perfect example there is Clay Holmes this past Monday against the Guardians. He only had 75 pitches under his belt, only 5 innings through, and Carlos Mendoza, for whatever reason, I don't know why, decided to pull him. I believe the reason why is because Holmes has never been a starter. He is throwing the most innings by far in his career. In fact, he'll reach double relatively soon, and I think Mendoza just wants to keep that number as low as possible and not blow out Holmes' arm, which in that case, and this is a conversation for a whole different day, just don't make him a starting pitcher. It's that simple. But regardless, let's go ahead and do a deep dive on these guys besides Peterson, who of course is an all-star, our ace, and just a great pitcher overall. Since returning from his IL stint on July 11th, Kodai Senga has a 5.31 ERA. Keep in mind, he entered play that day at 1.47 and obviously has not reached the 6th inning since. Holmes, since the last time he reached the 7th inning and threw 6 innings, was on the 7th of June at Colorado. He threw 95 pitches, by the way, that day. Since then, a 4.22 ERA, entering that game at a 2.87. I say, by the way, because he was pulled after 75 pitches, like I said last time out, only 5 innings deep. Sean Manaea, 9 earned runs over his last 9 2/3 innings pitched, that being this month. That's an 8.38 ERA. And Frankie Montas has a 6.38 ERA that went down after the performance of 1 earned run over 3. That is how bad it was that his ERA actually went down after a performance like that. Like I've said on here before, we still will see no changes. Jeremy Hefner says, but the point remains, we want those guys and are actively trying to figure out how to get those guys into the 6th or 7th inning every single time. Hey, Jeremy, newsflash, it's not working. Hey, David Stearns, newsflash, it's not working. Get rid of someone. Somebody do something. I've screamed about this in my last video. I'll scream about it again. Can somebody please do something? It's really not that difficult. Make a speech. Fire somebody. Do something. Show some life. How about we turn it over to an alarming stat that Puma mentions? The Mets entered play averaging 5 innings from their starting pitchers. Overall, that unit had logged 582 1/3 innings, which ranks 24th in Major League Baseball. The Phillies, with their deep rotation headed by Zach Wheeler and Christopher Sanchez, who are just inning eaters, were number 1 in the category at 659. That is a 78 1/3 innings pitch difference. You divide that by the 8 bullpen arms that you have, that is nearly 10 more innings that every single Met reliever has to encounter this season compared to a Phillies bullpen arm. What is that going to do in the playoffs? Well, I'm pretty sure you figured it out. It means the Mets' arms are going to be tired, and they're not going to pitch as well as the Phillies bullpen. Even though the Mets have a better bullpen than the Phillies bullpen will probably outperform the Mets in the playoffs, if of course the Mets even make the playoffs, because they don't have that taxation on their arms. Moreover, Met games are getting more and more important as the race is dwindling down. Mets are already 5.5 out of the division, just 1.5 up for that 3rd wildcard spot. That means that your blood pressure is increased. It is a more intense situation for a pitcher, and it is more taxing on the arm. It's a higher leverage situation, and that does more damage to a pitcher's body and a pitcher's arm, which will make them even more tired in the playoffs, again, if the Mets even make it. And this all adds up. The Mets starters are 27th now in Major League Baseball. That is the 4th worst in terms of getting innings out of their starting pitchers. Overall, just innings pitched from starters, while the bullpen has the 3rd most innings pitched out of any team. And in fact, Jeremy Hefner, the pitching coach, he even mentioned it. He said, we are going to run our bullpen into the ground if we don't find a way to get through that 3rd time the batting order, navigating the 4th, 5th, and 6th innings. So, it's controlling what we can control, attacking the strike zone, and let the other 8 guys help out. I mean, this is just really, really bad, but like I've said, it's not over. David Schoenfield of ESPN, he dives into what the Mets need to do in order to be a playoff lock. It's not so easy to buy your way into the playoffs, is it? Yeah, obviously, the 2025 Mets have been a disaster so far. The Mets correctly upgraded a struggling bullpen by adding Ryan Helsley, Tyler Rogers, and Gregory Soto. But now it's the offense that is going through some rough times. Despite adding Juan Soto and getting a much better season from Pete Alonso, he has already surpassed last year's RBI total. The Mets are scoring fewer runs per game than in 2024. The Mets were 21-10 at the end of April. with a plus 54 run differential over just 31 games. Since then, they've gone 42 and 45 with a minus 24 run differential. Soto, Alonso, Francisco Lindor, and Brandon Nimmo have scuffled of late, and Soto has been terrible all season with runners in scoring position, just a 190 batting average and 360 slugging. There's too much talent here for the Mets to miss the playoffs. Well, it might actually happen. Who knows at this point? Let's go ahead and turn it over to the lack of starting pitcher innings and what it does to this bullpen. As you can tell on your screen right now, these are the Mets bullpen arms. You got Diaz, you got Garrett, Ryan Helsley, Raley, Rogers, Soto, Stanek. You got other guys like Huasco Brasman, who's in AAA right now. You can still go to Chris Davinsky. I know Rico Garcia was already DFA'd and picked up by someone else. Still have Brandon Waddell. You got Austin Warren as well. As for all of these guys, Reed Garrett is on pace for 67 innings pitched, would top his career most by 9 2/3. Huasco Brasman down there in AAA, he is at 51 2/3, which is just 7 1/3 less than his career high, and that was when he was sent down before the end of August, and he was basically at his career high at the end of July. That is terrible. Since the beginning of August, that is really, really bad. In fact, if he wasn't sent down, he was on pace for over 77 innings pitched this season, by far the most he's ever thrown, because he's never even thrown 60 innings in a season. Gregory Soto, he's pitched 5 1/3 over the 13 games that he has worn a New York Met uniform. If the Mets had him the whole season, he would throw over 66 innings. Guess what? Most in his career. How about Ryan Helsley? 4 innings pitched over the 9 games he spent in a Met uniform. If he was a Met the whole season, he would throw over 72 innings, which is the most in his career, over last year when he threw 66 1/3 whilst notching 49 saves and 62 games finished. How about Tyler Rogers? This one is really, really funny. 6 innings pitched over 9 games. Mendoza has to go to him every single day. And I know he's going to get a little bit less tax on his arm because he throws 83, 84, and he's got a little bit more of a natural motion going from a full submarine, because I don't know if anyone's familiar, but in softball, your arm it's more of a natural throw because you're throwing underhand. So Rogers, of course, is the closest in all of Major League Baseball, throwing completely submarine, almost underhand, pretty close to it. So it's more natural on his arm, but still, if the Mets had him the whole season, he would throw 108 innings. Yes, above 100 innings for a relief pitcher. That is 29 more than his career high. The only reason why they're somewhat safe arm-wise is this. Look at how many people have thrown a baseball for the New York Mets on the mound. 42. Yes, this includes 3 position players. So about 40 regular pitchers that have thrown at least 1 pitch for the New York Mets. This does include the 3 deadline acquisitions that came on the 31st. Gregory Soto, of course, on the 27th of July. That helps out because that's less strain on the guys that have been pitching a lot. Huasco Brasman is the best example. He was sent down before Helsley and Rogers came in, and therefore he probably won't pitch again this year. Ate up a ton of innings, ate up nearly over 50 innings for the Mets that nobody else has to spend, including the 3 acquisitions that they got at the deadline. But here is the biggest problem. I know that starting pitchers aren't going far. A big part of that is because of Jeremy Hefner's problem and career-long problem as a pitching coach with walks. 420 walks this season. That is 3.6 walks per 9 inning. And of course, the Mets basically play 9 innings a day. So that's 3.6 walks per game. That means 3 walks one game, 4 walks the next, and it just goes like that for 162 games on average. They have 1,003 strikeouts this year, which is just a 2.39 strikeout to walk rate, which is really, really bad. They're walking too many batters. They're not going enough innings, therefore, and the bullpen is going to be taxed, and they're not going to get anywhere in the playoffs because their bullpen arms are fully taxed. They got to step up right now, that being the starting pitching, if the Mets want a legitimate chance at winning anything this year here in 2025. Just go down there in the comment section. Let me know if you agree. Let me know if you disagree. Give me your thoughts. Give me your reasonings. Unfortunately, that's all the time I have for you in this video. I mean, it's just obvious what the problem is right now. It's the starting pitching. Obviously, the offense is not doing well. Nothing is going well right now in New York Metland, but something can change if Clay Holmes goes and throws a great game tomorrow night. But we got plenty of coverage coming before that, so stay tuned for all that. Again, thank you so much for watching, and let's go Mets.